Okay, video. Draft physics, draft science here on YouTube. Presentation. Kind of forgot how to do it because it's been so long since I made a video. 2 days maybe. Anyway, no comments really. They're just garbage, so I'll just race through them. And it's just quite disappointing and frustrating attempting to have this conversation about the details of what it is to be here in the universe, how the damn thing works, and you can't buy even when you're saying I'll offer you money, you can't buy a conversation on the subject with somebody who has some assertion to make, some I claim that 2 plus 2 equals whatever, 76. And this just does seem like simple addition, a simple process of logical deduction. Mr. Mustard did it in the whatever, basement with a, fish hook. It's just, you can add it up. And I'm pointing that out, how it adds up. How if you take the real facts of history instead of the fake ones, the real experiments instead of the bullshit ones, you can figure out pretty much how the damn thing works. And I illustrate that, I think, pretty well in the last video, pointing out how you can really understand how charge is related to magnetism, is related to electricity, and tie up all those messy disconnects that conventional physics give you with the vague virtual photon done it. No, wrong answer. Obviously, the wrong answer in the sense that first it's the wrong answer because it's a stupid answer. It's silly. It's non-descriptive. It's useless. Yeah, even that. And just a placeholder for the answer. Obviously, and there's a much better theory right here. Can't buy the conversation that'll allow me to prove it. It's like I can't get time, to interrogate the witnesses and to prove to you the evidence sucks, because all the physicists are cowards, fucking cowards, elitist prick cowards. Don't even want to call them pricks. Is there something? There's something lower than a prick. The little pompous putzes, the last Sean Carroll video as example where two douchebag doctorates in physics, and they can't even give you a rational description of what the fuck quantum mechanics even the fuck is, let alone agree on what the fuck actually happened 20 years ago, and why they've decided 2 plus 2 equals 867. Nothing. Just horrible nonsense, gibberish, garbage. You could play it for, let's say, 15-year-olds or something. A room full of 15-year-olds. Not too stupid, not too smart. And they would have a what? What are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. So the good news is, though, you hear them talk their rubbish, and then you start to tie up some connections in terms of the hype and the garbage you've been, that's been injected into your brain, in the sense that they have any evidence for this rubbish when they don't, and you can start to understand the real chain of events. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll something I realized that I didn't realize before. Another one of these, the Einstein connection is just so misrepresented. So we'll do a little bit of Einstein, Rosen, and Dabalski. But anyway, what I think really was the argument, and the fact that they're conceding that the counter-argument was complete, incomprehensible rubbish, and yet everybody voted for the incomprehensible rubbish. So, pretty funny. Pretty ironic. Just kind of sucks. So anyway, assholes. I'm sorry, comments. Nice to see you. Last time was probably over a decade ago. Do you remember Highlander Dave? Yes. So Yeah, there was this guy who was on YouTube, and he was an atheist, part of the atheist community, blah, blah, blah. And then he did this drama with there's always some chicks involved, and sisters, I think, or something. Anyway, and then he became a Christian, and became totally uninterested, like fake Sagan. Uninteresting as a human being. You're just like, oh yeah, you're just too fucking stupid. I mean, really, you're just too. I mean, they were atheists, and yet. And they knew when they were atheists, oh man, you can't be dumber than somebody who falls for these stupid fables of the little whack job in the sky with his silly notions of what's important. It's important that you love only one God. Oh yeah, by the way, it should be me, the one God. By the way. I mean, it's just such garbage. And you're saying, oh yeah, you're going to watch somebody put that in their brain and say, okay, yeah, I'm going to give a shit about this nut job. No, fuck that. So anyway, nice enough guy, but frankly, just too fucking stupid. So he calls himself Realizing You Don't Know. I don't even know what that means. Realizing that you don't know? You mean that you don't know? Oh, you're realizing that I don't know then. Not you don't know. So you can't even get the I and the U's right. So yeah, that ain't gonna work either. But anyway, I can't relate to that kind of shit because it's all quite knowable. This isn't that complicated being here. It really isn't that complicated. Stuff, dog shit smells like dog shit. A lot of things is pretty consistent. It, makes good sense. Corpses don't smell like they're good to eat. Yet nutty fucking people think human beings went around eating rotten flesh on the that they went around eating what do you call that stuff, carnage. Well anyway, that dead shit. Oh yeah, sure they did. Yeah, the thing that smells the worst of all things on earth, and they ate it. Yeah, I'm sure. That's 2 + 2 = 768,942. Anyway, I mean, you people can't do any rational addition of facts at all. But anyway, nice to see you also. Except you're not visible, and whatever. So this idiot says, I'm pretty good, smiley face. I don't know what the fuck that means, but fuck it. And then Prophet Ascending. Oh, it's always another poet guy. Okay, now it's all fine. You want to, make fun of other people by mocking them, by making up a little poem about their silly, parabolobic membranes and tangential effect, rise over lower as blah 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 blah. Yeah, okay, it's fine. Like I said, I don't have a sense of humor, and I have no artistic, poetic, whatever. Just couldn't give a shit. I just want, please, let's quit dressing up everything in pink panties. I just don't like the color pink. Something like that. So Wanted Dead or Alive. Looks like it's the cowboy. Cool story, bro. That's really useful. Not. I mean, what the fuck? What it's a cool story. No, it's not a story. Alright, it's pointing out how 2 is made of 1 + 1, and then the other 2 is 1 + 1, and that if you count the ones, there's 4 ones. It's not a story, fuckhead. Jesus. Alright, please make more videos exposing the narcissisticity. So that must be the Ken Wheeler thingy. He's already been overexposed, and yet people don't care. The truth just doesn't get. They just don't give a shit. They want to believe this stupid pansy bullshit about the universe, this fucking unicorn crap. So anybody who spouts something anti-sterile and clinical and, oh, I'm a robot, no, they don't want to hear that shit. Fuck them. Fuck this planet of morons, belligerently stupid fucks. And you got an icon of a stupid Pomeranian, a little fucking dog that's been designed to suit little human comfort. I need a dog that looks like a cat. Fuck you. Alright. Wanted Dead or Alive. Hey Mindy, I know a place where you could move to. Fuck you. I'm sure the folks there don't mind having you there too. Oh, you're just too fucking funny. Magazine, Australia, cat killing. Oh, wonderful. Fuck off, shithead. I'm not for killing cats, but I am for solving problems. And sometimes you have to break some eggs to make a good omelet and all that kind of crap. You can't fix everything with love. Fuckhead. Retard. God, I hate you fuckers. Jeez, I don't know how. I just don't know how I'm going to get through the last few weeks of my life on this planet of shit. I hope it'll be a few weeks, I guess. Part of me hopes. I mean, I would like to have my victory dance, frankly. I mean, I really would like to survive, to just go, oh, I mean, I so told you, fucker, so. You were so fucking stupid. I put it right there in front of you, and you all fucking goddamn wiped your ass with it, you stupid shits. I mean, I gave you the golden goose, and what did you do? You cut its head off, and you fucking ate it for a fucking picnic snack. You dumb shits. Anyway. Sorry. It's the only reasonable reaction to this fucking shithole. Alright, so let's do a little bit of Einstein, Podolsky, and Rosen. So the idea is that they came up with this stupid Bohr quantum mechanic nonsense of how the universe is wooey, everything is unlocated, nothing is really there. The only thing that ever matters is when you decide to look at it with your eyes, like consciousness makes reality, or a brick wall makes reality, but there's no reality until the brick wall forces there to be one. So something isn't what it is. So the cat isn't a cat when it's walking across the street, when it's doing all kinds of stuff. It's only a cat when you put it in a cage. Then it's a cat. Some kind of crap like that. Alright, and so Einstein, rationally, even though he was pretty irrational to come up with that stupid bent space crap and his stupid time is a dimension bullshit, but he was smart enough to say, holy shit, that sounds like garbage. So he came up with these different thought experiments to sit there and explain to the morons how you can't do that to reality. Reality is, the watch is a watch. I mean, the little wheels are spinning. They don't need us to look at them. So he couldn't say simple things like, well, what, are you suggesting the moon isn't there until we do an experiment on it? Come on, what are you, too fucking stupid? So when we're not looking, it's not really in a location, it's not really made out of matter, and it's not really blah, 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 blah. Oh, bull fucking shit, it isn't. It's almost like this is too stupid that Einstein would have to waste his time arguing this kind of nonsense. But that's what he actually did. He spent the last whatever of his life trying to explain to people how, no, the universe isn't made out of your fucking silly unicorn sparkles, you fucking idiots. It's something else. Shit for brains. So anyway, so he got together with this Rosen and Podolsky guy, who he didn't really like much anyway, and they wrote a paper, blah, 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 trying to explain some of this. So this is before Schrodinger cat. So before Schrodinger mocked the whole thing as being absolutely ludicrous, like the cat's really dead and alive at the same time because nobody's decided to look at it. Just too fucking stupid. So anyway, before that, Einstein tried a logical argument. So basically the argument was, it's so funny how things start. So entanglement wasn't even a word, right, in physics. There was no concept of entanglement before all of this. And what Einstein was basically saying is, well, we know there's probably phenomena like left and right-handed gloves. Like things are created in a circumstance where one's going up and one's going down. Even my image, right? Projected to a piece of glass or something. We know that the up photons, the ones coming off the top of my head, go to a different place than the ones that are my feet. They're fundamentally different and they're inversely related, okay, in a sense. So you just have this right and left particle, in the sense of one went left, one went right, and they always go, one goes left, one goes right. So you always know there's a correlation between the forces, and that's almost like a Newtonian thing. For every action, there's a opposite reaction. And that's all you're basically saying. So if that's true, then the consequence of their bullshit is sort of like, I would argue, the two-slit experiment, where they say, we don't care where the photon goes through the slit. It can go through right next to this surface, it can go through the middle, or it can go over here. And it doesn't matter, because we're going to do this probability bullshit and say that photon could go any one of these locations. And it's not more probable that the one over here went over here, or the one over here went over here. Okay? They just say it's all random. When logically, that's bullshit. But anyway, right? So they did this to the two-slit experiment. So this is basically saying, Einstein's basically saying, no, you're being illogical. There are things that are close to the surface, and there are things going right through the middle, okay? It's just stupid to say they're all the same thing, and they all have the same outcome, the same probability. That's just stupid. And I should get onto this whole probability thing, because they think they think that's somehow miraculous, that things have different outcomes. And these are people who are supposed to be, like I said, these are physicists. They're supposed to have some kind of brain. And they know that all of this is about photons hitting electrons. And so all you're really talking about is, all quantum mechanics really is saying is, electrons fuck up the game. Okay? Because something goes in going one way, it hits an electron, and it comes out going some other way. That's quantum mechanics, by the way. That's all it is that there's a certain likelihood under certain circumstances, depending on what circumstance the electron's in, that it's going to randomize the output. That it's going to, not even randomize it, wrong word, that it's going to change the output. That's quantum mechanics. And there's a certain probability of that change, and how much change there's going to be. And there's not one equation that fits all. The Schrodinger equation. I mean, you can go for this crap, which is the funny, ironic part, is they're using his equation to as the pinnacle of this pile of crap, and he didn't even buy the crap. Their crappy interpretation of the relationship. And again, let's understand, the wave equation doesn't have a wave in it. It has an angle in it, representing essentially what Feynman was arguing, that photons in the Feynman diagram hit electrons, electrons move funny, and the photon gets reshot at a different angle. I mean, it's all, the facts are just screaming right here. There's no woo here unless you want there to be woo, unless you pour it in deliberately. You have to pile the woo in. It's not built out of the facts. All right, so back to the Rosen, Debowski, and Einstein thing. So he gets with these other guys to come up with a rational argument, basically saying that the implications of what you're saying is that these particles, this left and right particle now, if you're going to say they have no locality and they have no position and no place in space and that they're randomized, then you're going to have to correlate them, because the fact is one was a left and one was a right-handed glove. So you're going to have to make sure that stays. Now you're saying by quantum mechanics we don't pay any attention to gloveness. There's no gloveness. So one is going to, but that one has to be right and one has to be left. So okay, through your own theory, that the two have to be correlated if you're going to believe what you're believing. So you're believing this nonsense theory that the thing is woo, okay, it's turned to woo, it's nothing, it's amorphous, blah, 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 energy, blah, 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 and it's lost its left and right-handedness. But you'll concede that no, it lands as a right-hand glove and a left-hand glove, so there's no doubt about the fact that there's gloveness. You're just saying that in space there is none. Well, then you're going to have to correlate them. Then there's going to have to be some way, when the right-hand glove is known to be a right-hand glove, that the left-hand glove has to be over here. There's just no way of getting around it. And so he's just making this simple argument that the implications of your theory is entanglement, that somehow you're going to have to entangle your particles, that somehow they're going to have ESP, because this one, when its wave function collapses, then this one's pretty much been collapsed in the sense it's been outed as a lefty, if this was a righty, or vice versa. So, and so he's just making this logical argument that that's the implications of your dopey theory. It's silly, okay, because we know things aren't communicating faster than the speed of light, and it would have to be faster than the speed of light. It just doesn't make any sense. Why don't you grow up and get a real theory? And so Bohr, the defender of the religion of physics, the father of this stupid fucking quantum religion, writes back with a paper that was so incomprehensible that physicists didn't even notice that the pages of the paper were reprinted in the wrong order. So when it was reprinted, right, as a paper in other locations, other indexes, the order of the papers was wrong, and people didn't even notice. The paper was so hard to read, the response, right? Because there is no rational response to this simple argument. And I've made a simple argument. So, in a sense, Einstein, Rosen, and Dabrowski could have wrote a paper where they pointed out, well, when you have multiple slits, in the two-slit thing, so when you have like 10 or 12 or, even a higher number, whole images are projected to locations. The entire image goes there. Whatever goes into the collection of slits, each slit is sending essentially an image to the location, because that's the only way you could get a coherent image out of what you're sending through the slit. So each one is taking whatever it gets, representing it accurately, and sending pieces, at each turn, at each permutation of the photons coming through. The first photon might go over here, the second one might go over here, but it's reproducing the whole painting in each one of the locations. So it's duplicating the image that goes in, and that your WUI theory can't explain. If you say that it doesn't matter where the photon goes in the slit, well, then the image data is destroyed. It doesn't exist anymore. The image information is destroyed by quantum mechanics, right? So they don't even take account for they keep using this stupid information word when their own theories basically says the information is destroyed when you create a wave function. So they're all worried about information and whether the information is stored in a black hole and all this other horse shit. Well, how could it possibly matter when you destroyed information when you created your stupid wave function? I know most of this is way over some person who's just tangentially connected to this subject, but I mean, that's what I wanted. I got to find out, is every single person listening to this video, a noob? I mean, are there any people who have actually taken a physics course and heard them talk all this shit and is understanding what I'm saying when I'm saying this, explaining to you this is the real history? These are the real facts? And they can sort of understand, oh yeah, that's right. So anyway, so this paradox of the multi-slit, right, where they've just totally ignored what you can just go on eBay and look up laser pointers, and you'll find that you can buy little things to put right on the end of your laser to make images in all kinds of locations. I mean, it's a fact that I've never heard any explanation whatsoever of a wave theory that makes sense. So we're back to sort of the Einstein-Podolsky thing, where you're basically just making this simple argument. Your theory can't possibly be true because of the implications of it. It just can't work. You can't possibly be reproducing images unless you're going to say, oh, the multi-slit's also entanglement. You have to create some kind of nonsense story about how somehow the photons know what the other photons did, so they can make sure they make an image in the end. That's the right image. I mean, you have to come up with something just totally ludicrous. When I gave you the simple explanation is yeah, it matters where you go in the slit. That's going to change where you're going to land. You're near the surface, your likelihood of landing somewhere obtuse from your original destination is higher than if you go right through the middle. Just a fact, easily discerned. So anyway, so they slight Einstein by saying Einstein invented entanglement, when clearly that's like saying Schrodinger invented dead zombie cats. No, he didn't invent zombie cats. He pointed out how you're retards to believe in zombie cats. And Einstein was pointing out how entanglement is stupid. But that's the implication of your dopey theory. So anyway, so Bohr writes an incomprehensible paper and somehow wins the argument. And they think that doesn't need any explanation. Like, oh, that's the way it should be. Yes, of course, the incomprehensible answer should always win the argument. We don't want reason and logic, and last thing we want to hear is anything called facts or accuracy. We like making up experiments we never did, and we like to totally and preposterously exaggerate how quantum mechanics invented dog food. I mean, it's just so fucking bullshit. And again, what is quantum mechanics? Quantum mechanics is acknowledging that when photons interact with electrons, wacky things can happen. And by wacky, I don't mean wooey. I just mean, well, it's kind of a little chaotic because electrons are always in tension. And the tension is completely dependent on whether they're an oxygen atom or a nitrogen atom, or it all depends on what their circumstances will dictate what your probabilities are. What's possible in terms of the electron's not going to move straight because it's tied to a string. It's like you could kick a dog, right? You kick a dog who's not on a leash, and the dog just goes straight. But if the dog is tied to a stick, or something, or somebody's front porch, and you kick it, it's not going to go straight. It's going to go a curved line because it's in tension. That's how simple this argument is, right? This is the kick the dog paradox. Is there a paradox here? Is this something too hard to understand? We can't understand that when the dog's tied to a string, he's not going to move a straight path because the string's going to pull on him? Oh, we can't understand that. It's that bad. So anyway, so that's how bad this is, right? That Einstein writes a paper pointing out how, well, your woo theory, your religion of the universe is made of stuff that's floaty and woo, ghost-like and woo, 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 woo. He said, that's baby talk. It's fucking sissy as hell. All right, I don't want to be part of an organization that believes in this fucking faggoty shit. And so he basically tries to write a scientific paper explaining how you're being logically imbecilic. The consequence of what you're talking about is entanglement. Some dopey notion that fucking photons have ESP now. You've given them radar, you've given them all kinds of functions, and now you're giving them fucking ESP? For fuck's sake, how bad is this going to get? So he writes a paper basically saying that they get a non-response, which is ludicrous, blah, 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 fuck you, you're wrong. Don't tell God what to do. I mean, that was Bohr's attitude. He's a religious fucking kook, for fuck's sake. I mean, all these people are religious kooks. Anyway. So that's the history. So that's the story. So Einstein invented entanglement. So what did they do with that? Well, they did nothing for a decade because there was absolutely no evidence that anything called entanglement existed. But clearly they all believed, well, it must exist, so let's go find it, right? And so what did they do? This Bell guy comes along and they start arguing about whether there could be local variables, and how you would test for the influence of these variables. And all this conversation really has to do with is how far off can results be? Like if I'm flipping coins, how many heads in a row do I have to get before it becomes impossible? And so Bell figured out some mathematics that basically tells you, well, this is the range you can be in before it becomes implausible, let's say, that your experimental results have any connection to reality. You can only be this much off. You can't be this much off. Just no likelihood of winning the lottery 17 times in a row or something. It just ain't going to happen. So that's Bell's contribution. And they do this, and then they come up with these all they had was thought experiments. There was no experiment we could do to prove this entanglement thing, because we can't even deal with the speed of light, let alone instantaneous stuff happening. We can't measure that. So there was no experiment. So they came up with these wacky ones, these thought experiments based on their assumptions, and they mostly dealt with using light polarization as a way of detecting a right and a left-handed glove. So they said something, vertically polarized as right and horizontally polarized as left, and then they start playing their games of saying, I can make the right-handedness and left-handedness go away, and then I can see them again. So it proves there's entanglement. And there's a certain statistical data limit that you have to come up with by this Bell guy that tells you whether you've got the right answer, that the answer could be involve some other variable, like they actually were right and left-handed gloves. Well, so they have this Alan Aspie. They call him Aspie now. He was Aspect before. Well, Alana Asbesti. Yeah, I never heard him called that. But anyway, douchebag who copyrights his own, his science. So they never redone this stupid bullshit experiment. But anyway, it has to do with this idea of shooting light through polarizing filters and catching it somewhere else, the same photon. I made a photon over here, I shot it through a process of 15 meters, and then I caught the same photon over here. Bullshit, fucking theoretical nonsense. Spinning mirrors, all kinds of wacky parts in his little experiment. And the very idea that their assumption is that polarization doesn't collapse the wave function. A polarizing film is a transparency. It's a material that the photons have to travel through, and they interact with it. So even the photons that get through are affected, just like light is affected by a lens. Okay, it's just silly to think, oh, the light isn't affected at all, when it went through an actual material. Went through two surfaces to get in, a surface to get in and a surface to get out, and yet they're pretending, oh no, we can use this as a passive detector. No, you can't. You have no expectation that you didn't fuck up the photons. So the whole premise of the experiment is rubbish, and the statistical results are convoluted and very millions of photons, and you have to rely on detectors and this incredible speed that all this stuff happens at, and so huge assumptions built into these experiments and a tiny margin of difference between the results. If you're 2.8, you've succeeded. If it's 3.1, you failed. All kinds of bullshit. And a stupid statement anyway that now we've decided it can't possibly be right and left-handed gloves, which the experiment doesn't even prove, and Bell's theory doesn't even prove that's not the answer, that the origin variable was the variable that decided. So you shot right and left-handed gloves out, and then you pretend you made that disappear somehow and created entanglement. When no, Bell never said that wasn't possible. What Bell's saying is that some variable after you made left and right-handed gloves could affect them, like an airplane flying by or something, because then your odds of change would be within a certain range. Well, anyway, it's so convoluted. This is the weakest, patheticest, just nonsense as an argument, and yet people are convinced entanglement's real, and they have just really no rational reason. Einstein invented it as an insult. He was basically insulting, you're using your ass as your brain, and he's drawing pictures of you being ass heads, and you're fucking thinking, oh, we really are ass heads. I mean, you don't even get it. You're so pathetic. So, this is an invention, entanglement, of somebody who obviously didn't believe in entanglement. He was mocking it. And you fuckers, oh yeah, let's believe in that now. And you really don't have a single shred of real evidence that this stupid crap exists. And yet you've built qubits out of it and quantum computing and, all kinds of horse shit that'll never be of any value because, of course, it's nonsense. And it's pathetically stupid. So you'll just make some LIGO thing, that doesn't prove a fucking thing. It's totally useless information, even if it were true. Oh, two black holes collided and made waves. And blah, 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 blah. It can't mean anything, and there's absolutely no other way to prove that it's horseshit. I can't show you the real videotape of the two black holes not doing that. So this is just such fucking religion. So here I give you the rational step by step of what do we really see? The two slit? Yes, there's a real pattern. The single slit, there's a real pattern. The multi-slit, there's a real pattern, and those patterns tell us things. Just as I pointed out with the radar experiment. Well, we have all this evidence that photons don't interact with photons, so they need some electrons somewhere to fuck them up. Where are the electrons in the radar experiment, the two-slit radar experiment? Where are the electrons to fuck up the photons? Oh, that's right, they don't exist. So your stupid interference crap can't happen because they think every time they call, whenever a photon interacts with an electron, they call that photon interference. And somehow the photon interfered with itself. It hit an electron, but oh, let's just pretend it interfered with itself. I mean, it's just so fucking stupid. But I've given you the rational explanation that unifies all of physics, that ties gravity directly right up the ass of magnetism and electricity and heat, and all of it makes sense. I give you a rational theory, and I get fucking nothing from you fuckers. Nothing. I don't get a counter argument. I don't get anything. Nothing. And again, the fuckers of you who don't really know any of this shit, yeah, you really can't be part of the conversation because you do have to understand some of this terminology and how it arose, you know, in the real history. You have to kind of know that there's a single slit and a double slit experiment and then a multi-slit experiment, and that the patterns that each one creates are different because the physicists won't tell you that. You have to figure that out by watching the experiments. Because they won't tell you what really happens. They're so full of shit. They're so full of their propaganda bullshit. They're like this stupid Dupiro type who have just, you know, superficial and trivial knowledge of the experiments. So anyway, if somebody wants to point out how I'm wrong about this history, it's fine with me. But this is what I'm getting from it. You know, the pieces I get from them. You know, there's no rational history of physics written because it's all written by these fucking wooey religious kooks. So that was one of the ironies of the Sean Carroll talking to some other douchebag, is that they both agreed that Copenhagen is crap as a theory. And yet Copenhagen is the foundational interpretation of the two-slit experiment. And they're basically saying, no, that was all crap. Because it's really multiverse. Yeah, it's just fucking idiotic. They're just going from stupid to, you know, ludicrous. Ludicrous speed. They've invented it. Because they saw it on TV, you know. So anyway, you know, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just making appeals to reason. How can you people, you know, the evidence sucks because you can't even recite it. You can't even understand it. So you know it's weak evidence at best, and yet you keep claiming. I mean, this is like the stupid fucking deniers who just made, oh, Jay's guilty. It's a setup. Whitey's trying to crucify a black man. He wasn't even black, you know, in the sense that you wouldn't know it. You know, I mean, unless you really scraped at his skin, so to speak. You know, he had every privilege of Whitey. You know. You know, he even had little slave houses on his property. It's just, and yet these assholes show up saying, oh no, there's only a ton of evidence. Let's just pretend he just coincidentally hacked his finger to pieces on the night his wife's head fell off. Fuck you people. I mean, just fuck this planet of fucking assholes. So anyway, just to add to it. So the Bill Gates guy, who I like the fact that he's at least making conversation and some of it seems rational. But then the last video, he spends the last 20 minutes talking about all the nutty theories he believes in. You know, all the truther. He's mocking the truthers while he points, these are the real truthers stories. I mean, he believes 9/11 is an inside job, which... So was it also, was the blind cleric who 15 years earlier tried to blow up the United Nations building? No, it was the Twin Towers, right, in the basement, the van that blew up, but it didn't knock anything down, right? So the first try, was that also an inside job? I mean, you people are just so pathetically desperate to, you know, pervert and blow the fucking facts to pieces. You're so fucking dishonest. The evidence is overwhelming against all this shit, flat Earth and all these conspiracies, and you just keep clinging to this crap. You know, and I'm supposed to have something other than contempt for you fucking pathetic liars. I mean, the truth is pointed out to 9/11 truthers all the time about how, you know, every piece of their evidence can be debunked to pieces. Just like the people denying the moon landing. I mean, their fucking evidence sucks. You know, and easily explained, and they just ignore when the explanation's been given to them. They'll just keep saying the same shit over and over and over again, in spite of the fact that that's already been debunked, asshole. You can't keep using evidence that's been debunked. Fuck you. I mean, they're just such overt liars. So yeah, so Bill Gates just lost all credibility with that crap. You know, not that he didn't, not that he doesn't say a lot of things for which he loses all credibility, but the whole idea that, you know, somehow his rope theory is rational and simple. What? Every fucking thing is connected to every other thing. I still can't even get it figured out. One minute he says atoms, next minute he says electrons, or which one has all these ropes tied to it? Do you believe in electrons and protons? What the fuck are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. It's just so fucking bad. So, sorry, I have some right to have moments of just absolute almost panic that, oh no, I'm on a planet of the way too stupid. I mean, fuck, I almost wish I was on a bug planet, but you almost say, well, bugs got a certain amount of logic, you know. Bugs don't believe in God. You know, bugs, you know, I think they'd be interested in the story of 2 plus 2. Yeah. I don't know. This just sucks. So anyway, fuck you people. Yeah, that's all I got. Fuck you. I mean, you know, the history will show. I showed it to you. I showed you the secret. You know, I showed it to you. I explained. Look, the electrons are moving, you know, real distance in the case of a transparent material. That's why there's this 40% slowdown, is because the energy is moving inside the electron bus, and the electron bus is really slow, so it takes a while to get to the destination. You know, it's riding the speed of light motorcycle, and then the motorcycle has to get on the bus, and then it goes really bus speed, and then it gets off the bus, and then it goes to speed again. You know, I explained to you, and then the wriggle, you know, that electricity works in a different way because it never really has to get on anything because it's just vibrating. So it's just pushing shit. Shit hits it. It picks up the shit and it throws it at the next guy. So it's the shit is always moving the speed of light because as most of the distance it's covered, it's shit moving. It's not my arm throwing. My arm throwing is a tiny percentage of the time, while most of the time the shit is flying as real shit. Okay, you know, and how it all ties together. And you people just nothing. You people. Again, I'm saying you people as if I know who the fuck any of you idiots are. You know, and obviously, yes, some of you are just nice people. Okay, you're saying, hey, Gary's kind of funny. You watch the videos, blah, 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 and you don't really give a shit. So I understand that. That's fine. It's okay to do that. I'm not offending you or insulting you. I'm just saying that there's got to be some people that know something about fucking goddamn physics and have heard some of these silly goddamn stories they tell and have got to be saying, okay, yeah, you know, how many times do you have to draw me as a butthead before I get it? So anyway. So that's all. All I can do is attempt to reason with you, but it's just there's no real point, right? Because that's all I'm sort of pointing out is I give you the reasonable 2 plus 2 equals 4. Here's why: because 1 plus 1, those are ones, and you just add up the number of ones, and that gives you the answer. It's not complicated. You don't need any woo or entanglement or any of this core shit to explain the phenomenon. And you just couldn't care less. Rational answer, I don't want that. I want gods and boogeymen and all kinds of fun stuff. Fuckers. So anyway. So I suppose I'll just endeavor to persevere. So maybe I'll work on a couple more videos in this series of why can't this be true. So I think we have a couple of subjects left, like the standard model. Yeah, such a big subject. I don't know if I can. I mean, I certainly can pick it apart, but then particle gravity. I could just do the gravity one. But anyway, this is just so simple. Anyway, till next time. I hate you fuckers. I hate most of you fuckers. Let's put it that way. Mostly all of you fuckers.